We are back, and we just watched the SAG Awards. Amanda, throw us a random statistic.
Oh, okay. Well, Sandra Oh is the first person to win drama series actress twice, but has never won an Emmy. She joins Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who has won an Emmy for both ER and The Good Wife. Tony Shalhoub.
I think you mean Juliana Margulies.
Juliana Margulies. I'm sorry, I'm thinking
Not Julia
Julia
Louis-Dreyfus.
Louis-Dreyfus.
Yeah.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus is the only one to do it on the was the only one to do it on the comedy side, but she is now joined by Tony Shalhoub. But Tony Shalhoub has still yet to win an Emmy, but it's only his. But they might have to do it this season. You never know. Jason Bateman wins for the first time, but not for comedy, which is surprising. And yeah, Sterling K. Brown. I think this is the first time an actor has won both on the TV and movie side for ensemble in the same year. How's that?
Yeah,
Black
I
Panther
knew you'd be good for it. Yeah.
Ensemble and stunt ensemble. So good for you. And good for Andy Serkis for showing up because he's had a great career and you know, he deserves to be as part of that ensemble, even if it's not his moment. So
I noticed he stood way on the side of the stage,
Yeah, but as an actor, he's known more for motion capture, but he still deserves to, have to be up there with the rest of the cast. Martin Freeman doesn't leave England. Director. So, ever, basically.
Yes.
And good for Regina King. Good for you, sweetie.
Yeah.
Although now I'm afraid this Rocky Balboa thing's going to happen again. We're going to see another Sly repeat. I can't take it. Sorry, I'll stop. Is that enough for you?
Well, actually, Amanda, walk us through what you mean when you reference Rocky Balboa.
Okay, so Sylvester Stallone, as Marcus would say, couldn't get up to go to the bathroom without a standing ovation for the first Creed movie. Won Critics' Choice and the Golden Globe to a raucous standing ovation. Gives the two best acceptance speeches of the season. And then he's not at SAG, but they're going to do you a favor and they're going to give it to Idris Elba. And then they're going to cross the pond and give it to this British theater actor named Mark Rylance, who's best known for reading poems. And he's going to do you an even better favor by not showing up. But that's the problem. He's going to win the Oscar. Mark Rylance. So look out for what happens at BAFTA, because if it's a Brit and it's Rachel Weisz, you might not want to write that off as just flag waving. We might actually see, or if it's Amy Adams, because those are the only two who have shown up at all four. And that was the key to Mark Rylance's win. He showed up at all of them. Well, he didn't show up, but he was nominated for all of them. Yeah.
So, Kevin, do you think Amy Adams has any chance if she wins BAFTA, or it's ridiculous? Should we stop bringing up her name when it comes to
Amy, I feel very bad for Amy. After the Golden Globes and SAG, everyone was kind of predicting her to do really well for Sharp Objects, especially. But then people are like, okay, now Regina King is out of the running. Amy Adams can step in and win here, but she loses to a performance not nominated at the Oscars. So I'm not sensing a lot of passion. I'm really not.
I was really hopeful that Sharp Objects would do for her what Game Change did to Julianne Moore and really give her like a good, solid winning streak of a couple of awards, like Emmy winner, Golden Globe, SAG. Then a few years later, she could win an Oscar. But it doesn't look like it was meant to be.
Well, if HBO had actually aired it last Emmy season, I'm sure she probably would have won, because that was not entirely strong competition. So
no.
Yeah, it was just Regina King, and she's nothing, right?
Well, for a show that was canceled.
Yeah, I mean, it was a canceled NBC show, a canceled Netflix show where really, I think if Amy Adams was in there, like she presumably the show would have been nominated. Those actresses would have been in supporting. With all those nominations, it probably would have carried her along for a win.
Yeah. So, Kevin, you missed our pre-show, and you didn't get to tell us about your TV predictions, which actually were excellent. You came 7th out of the 2,000 users at Gold Derby Log Predictions.
Hell yeah.
The only one that you missed, I think, was Drama Actor, where you went for the favorite Sterling K. Brown over the said Jason Bateman.
Yeah,
He has the crappiest track record when it comes to Sterling K. Brown.
right. Yeah, I think I switched to the Americans at the end. I don't know if I actually did that in my Gold Derby predictions, but I know I said that on Twitter, so I don't know. I don't know if I updated Gold Derby, but regardless, like the first 9 awards, I was like all the way right. Like starting with the Maisel sweep, getting to the Patricia Arquette winning over Amy Adams. And
I have
then
another fact for you.
by the end, I'm just like, oh, damn. I could have like totally bragged and been like, see?
You did not switch to the Americans on
I didn't.
Gold Derby. And
Oh, good. Excellent. All
I
right.
actually have another fact for you, Riley. On the comedy side, Amazon has done something HBO and Netflix, CBS, and ABC have never done. They've joined NBC as the only network to sweep comedy series. Now, comedy side. Now, NBC's done it 3 times for 3 different shows. But, you know, that's not bad company to be in when you consider Netflix is their favorite channel right now, seems like.
Yeah. And kudos to Rachel Brosnahan for being the 6th performer to, sweep the entire TV award season. So that's kind of incredible.
She hasn't won the Emmy yet.
Well, she won an Emmy for the show. So I still
You're
count
calling it the Rachel sweep, not the like cruise sweep.
Yes. Regardless of seasons, it's still a sweep. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm going to say she's not going to win that Emmy.
Yeah. Julia.
Stats don't favor it. Julia's coming back.
Kevin, how did you know that Tony Shalhoub would win?
Well, it's funny because I actually wrote a piece about how there might be a split in the comedy actor race between Bill Hader and Henry Winkler for Barry and the Kaminsky Method's Alan Arkin and Michael Douglas, because they're both very strong performances on those shows, I think, and both stand out. And I don't know, even if they're both kind of lead supporting types of things, I don't know if either one stands out over the other so much. So I just went with like the show that everyone was kind of buzzing about, which was Maisel, which they loved. They gave 4 nominations. So I'm like, and they love Tony Shalhoub. They've given it to him 2 times for Monk. So I just figured, why not take a gamble?
Which makes William H. Macy winning this 3 times impeccable when like someone like Tony Shalhoub never won. Like, I'll stop. But yeah, he's got 3 now.
Yeah.
Well, 4.
All right.
And,
So let's.
and the Patricia Arquette one, I don't know if we wanted to talk about that winning over Amy.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Well, what do we think?
She just gives the weirdest acceptance speeches. Like, you don't need to make 2 political points. Like, just stay on Union and then say thank you and good night. Like, I don't need the Mueller thing at the end of it. Like, we're having such a pleasant evening. Like, I don't.
Well, she loves her political rallying speeches, you know? That's her whole Twitter feed,
she had
really.
already rallied. She'd already done a rally thing. And then like, ugh.
I like that speech. I felt very seen when she was talking about overtime and meal penalties and that kind of thing. Not going to name the
she's
show
talking about you.
because this is an industry that will blacklist you and all that kind of stuff if you make enemies of people.
Yes, Riley, we are live.
Yes. So I enjoyed that. So over on the film side, we saw Rami Malek win, which I think we all had. Do we think that there is going to be a shift in the odds to Rami Malek now that he's taken SAG? The odds for the SAG Awards favored Christian Bale, and then that is the current state of the race for the Oscars as well.
There will be a shift, but I think it needs to be a temporary shift because we do need to see what BAFTA does. Him winning cements himself as the temporary front runner because it was too late for the poor Bradley Cooper storyline to take place. And there's no reason on paper Bradley Cooper should win at BAFTA. Bale is Welsh, which you wouldn't know from his filmography. He's never won. This is his 4th nomination. And Rami Malek is playing one of Britain's most famous rock stars. So either of those 2 make sense as far as a BAFTA win. But if Cooper wins, then I'm going to roll the dice and go with him. But Malek should definitely, for at least now, be the front runner.
I love how Christian Bale has the same reaction to losing as he does to winning. Just always, But
just
yeah, you
happy to be
mentioned
there.
how he hasn't won a BAFTA, and that's right because they went with Jeffrey Rush for The King's Speech the year that Christian Bale won for
The
Fighter.
King's Speech really went on like a run that no film has gone on at BAFTA. Like
Except
Helen
they gave
Bonham
it to David
Carter
Fincher
won.
for director.
Yeah, that's like the one award they lost. That's probably the one they got right. But
Yeah.
if only the Oscars had done that, those two films might not be glued together for the rest of time.
Oh, yes.
And while we're off on this tangent, why that happened is because BAFTA voting was different back then. Back then, the directing award was only voted on by members of the director's branch, whereas at the Oscars, it's all branches all the time voting for the winners.
Mhm.
And even though there were 10, they hadn't really split yet. Now we see a real split. So can Black Panther win Best Picture now? Like, could we see a $900 million box office champion like really do away with every stat that we all love? No writing, no directing, no editing. I mean, like, no acting. It's like making me sick to think that that could happen.
No, I don't think we need to worry about that, but I think we do need to settle that Black Klansman is just not happening. Put it in the same boat as A Star is Born.
I know. Yeah. This felt like a real defining place where it could cement itself as like, this is its first win, and then it still hasn't happened. It still hasn't even won, I don't think, any Best Picture prizes, even from critics. So
I'm holding out hope until after DGA.
That was my next question.
That's true.
I'm going to hold out hope until after DGA, and then all the stats be damned, I will switch to probably Roma.
Yeah.
I can't breaking 2 of the 4, but two of the big ones that you usually need, and being the first foreign language film, and in black and white, and a streaming, that's just so many hurdles. It just seems like it's too high to climb, but I'm holding out for TGA to change the narrative.
And it is strange that Roma was not at the SAG Awards, because the SAG Awards, as we always say, they love Netflix because Netflix sometimes sends them little booklets from the future. The result in Beast of No Nation getting 2 nominations, including a win for its 3-person credited cast.
Oh no, Idris Elba won. They just got a SAG Ensemble nomination.
Yes.
You said the ensemble one.
Oh, okay. Well, I did not mean to.
Sorry, I'm just so people don't put snarky comments in there for you, Riley.
Sounds good. I don't think that Roma is in too much danger, though, because like The Shape of Water last year, it overperformed with the actual Academy when it came to acting nominations. And I think we can kind of say that that compensates for its lack of love from the SAG Awards. How do you feel, Kevin?
Two films 23 years apart. That's kind of my problem. How many great movies have lost Best Picture that didn't have a SAG Ensemble nomination?
It's
the
new trend. Yeah.
Well, it literally just happened. So
I know, but you know what? People thought La La Land was going to win. It didn't happen. People thought The Revenant might win, and it didn't have that. So it is one of those things where it's like, we've only statistically speaking, every 37 years you don't need a directing nomination. Every 30 some odd years you don't need an editing nomination. Every 30 plus years you don't need a writing nomination. About every 15, 20 years you don't need an acting nomination. But just because we've come up across some of those stats recently doesn't mean they don't hold. So
that is true. That is the trend.
It's really hard to think a foreign language film is going to win when that's never happened. No editing. We just saw that. No SAG Ensemble. I mean, that streaming film. We're talking about a movie that might be the lowest box office film ever to win Best Picture.
It can't be. Yeah.
Seriously, think about that. It's going to be the lowest box office total for a film ever to win Best Picture. And you just happen to have the biggest film of the year in there too. I just don't know.
It's a weird year.
I don't know. I know it's going to get a lot of number 1 votes. I think if they just picked one, it would win automatically. But I think there's going to be some people who don't rake it 2nd or 3rd. I think it could be get a lot of 5 and 6 votes. Whereas I still think
hearing that argument in Tom's videos, for example, where he says that Roma, if it's not your number one choice, it's your second and third. I don't agree with that at all. I think it's, yeah, like you said, it's a black and white foreign movie with a very slow start that plays better when you're actually watching it, on the big screen as opposed to being in your own home where you can do something else if you get bored. I think it could get a lot of lower votes, and I think we should be more concerned about it at the Oscars than maybe at BAFTA, which was kinder to The Revenant, for example, which because they only had to give it number one votes.
I still think there's going to be like respect at the very least for Roma. I feel like people are going to be compelled to at least respect the film enough to put it in the top half kind of a ranking, but we never know. It depends on the ballot.
I don't see the storyline of let's finally give a foreign language film Best Picture. Like, I just don't see that a big rallying cry to give it a lot of number one votes, where I could still see people giving their number two votes to Black Panther or giving their number two votes, God help us, to Green Book. God, I don't want that movie to win. I almost would prefer any of the other ones.
Well, so speaking of Green Book, we can talk about Mahershala Ali. Pretty much sweeping. He's, yeah.
Jason Robards, I'm correct, is the only supporting actor to win back-to-back, right? Like, we're basically putting...
He did do it. I have to think for whether if there were any consecutive ones. I know people like Walter Brandon have won 3, but,
I think he is the only one who did it consecutively as far in any supporting category. But we're basically putting him into this very elite group of people who have won 2 Oscars. Like, are we really ready to make him a 2-time Oscar winner?
Were we ready to make Christoph Waltz a 2-time Oscar winner?
No,
it just kind of happened.
But he was older. Like, usually they're just a touch older. But I don't know. It seems to be his. I mean, I doubt he's going to win BAFTA. So
this felt like the last stand for Sam Elliott, and I guess Richard E. Grant in a way too. So
maybe not Richard E. Grant, but
maybe BAFTA could save him. But
yeah.
As far as the Sam Elliott argument, I feel like that's kind of died.
Yeah. I do wonder if there is the TV factor helps him at SAG. And maybe when they get to Oscars, it's like, okay, he's already won for only being in a third of a movie. Now we're going to give him another supporting Oscar for category fraud. Like,
yeah, at the SAG Awards this year, we saw lead performances win all 4 individual SAG film categories.
How about that? Yeah.
Well done, top billed, Emily Blunt.
Yes, right on the cover,
Yeah.
Like, I to the producers, like, seriously, you need to get somebody who is a consultant who knows television or knows film, because I would not have had Robin Wright present that award. Like, seriously, because she was like, Mahershala Ali, that's the most animated I've ever seen her. Like, seriously. And all I'm thinking is, you couldn't phone a friend during like the final season of House of Cards to like get another Emmy nomination.
Maybe they just forgot. It's been so long since Mahershala Ali's been on the show.
I know, he drove off with Molly Parker and it was like, we're getting out of the show before it gets messy and bad. Bye, everyone.
So, Kevin, where do you stand on Best Picture? What's your number 1 and your number 2 now?
I still have Roma as my number 1. Just, I think, A Star is Born went 0 for 4 tonight. It is what it is. It didn't get director. BlacKkKlansman, like I said, could have cemented a good win for itself here. Still waiting for DGA, still waiting for WGA, but I just am not seeing like a huge competitor to Roma at the moment. I think Green Book is still very much in the race, and maybe I would put that at number 2 just based on PGA and Golden Globe. But we know about all the controversies. We don't know how much that's going to penetrate, the minds of the Academy, or whether there's going to be backlash to the backlash, any of that sort of thing. So the answer is I still don't know.
I have another fun stat for you, Riley. I have another fun stat for you, Riley. This is A Star is Born made SAG Award history as the first film directed by an actor not to pick up a SAG Award.
Oh, boy.
Life is Beautiful, Fences, and Argo all took home at least one SAG Award, whereas A Star is Born, that, yeah.
Excellent.
Sorry,
Uh,
I just thought of
Kevin-
another one. I'm like, ooh.
yeah, no, that's what we need here. Kevin, it sounds like you have Roma first and Green Book second, which means you really think that SAG Ensemble is not going to line up this year.
No, it didn't line up when it was Hidden Figures. It didn't line up when it was The Help. I mean,
I just mean like it won't even have a SAG Ensemble nomination.
Okay, right. Yeah, I just don't know about. I mean, it was presumably eligible, right? You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if there was any differences in anything like that. Okay, well, I don't know. I mean, the Oscars that nominated it 2 actors, so it at least has some support in the acting branch, including one very huge surprise, Marina de Tavera, who could still win for that matter. I'm just going to throw that out there. So yeah, I think rules are meant to be broken.
And Amanda, you're shaking your head. What's bothering you?
Well, Marina hasn't won anything. I mean, when Marcia
And she
Gay
hasn't been nominated for anything, and she just got nominated.
Exactly, but I'm just saying, when Marcia Gay Harden pulled off her shock, she was at least on critics' lists. She was, you know, she'd won a critics award. She'd won at least one big film group award. Like, this was a real shock. I mean, that would be, yeah. All the 4 other ladies could be pissed. Like, what the hell? I want to see what the guilds do, because if Roma doesn't win anything after PGA, then we could see like an opening. Like, if Spike Lee wins director and writing, ladies and gentlemen, there's your best picture winner. Who wins DGA and WGA? That looks really good with a SAG Ensemble nomination. The same thing, look out for The Favorite. It's got 10 nominations. So it's got 7 below the lines. If it starts winning all those crafts awards, there might be enough people in those below the line categories that are going to rank it number 1 because they just love it, to maybe to push it ahead of Roma. While it's a foreign film, it is not a foreign language film. I still think there's some wiggle room, but I think Roma is benefited from the fact that, you know, if BlacKkKlansman was its biggest competition, it didn't win anything. But, you know, you never know. Black Panther, below the line, it could go on a good run, and then all the stats be damned for it. It won a big Guild Award. We can't say it's not going to win anything, or it can't win, because you have to be in the 8 to do it, and it's one of the 8 films. And remember, they don't want best popular film. So of the 4 from Ensemble that are in the best picture lineup, you know, it looks like that would solve their issue as far as like giving them a popular film winner, which, if that's what they need, better choice than Bohemian Rhapsody.
All
I'm
right.
just saying.
So I will now invite Charlie, Matt, and Tony to join us. And Amanda and Kevin, how do you feel about Best Actress? Is Glenn Close even going to sweep BAFTA?
She could.
Happen.
Yeah. It could happen.
Yeah.
But I do think Coleman's in the race. So it'll be ironically very close. But it depends on how much they love The Favorite over in Britain.
Yeah, pretty much. I think Glenn Close has it locked and loaded for Oscar.
Yeah.
As far as BAFTA, it could happen. If it doesn't really matter. That's kind of my feeling.
She won tonight, and it was so charming to see her with Michael Douglas. That was so smart to have them present together, and really, like, he's very happy for her. So good for him for supporting her.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks very much for your commentary.
Thank you.
Matt, nice to see you out of Rob's basement.
Yes, no, good to be here.
You're freed.
Amanda, you forgot another film directed by an actor that missed out at the SAG.
Disaster Artist.
No, I was going to say The Good Night and Good Luck.
Or Into the Wild.
Good Night and Good Luck with George Clooney.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that one was those 3, but of the ones that really had a chance, you know.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Have a
Get
good night.
out. Get out.
Okay, guys.
Yeah. So the three of us in the chat that you just saw, we only scored 3 out of 6 each on the film categories, different configurations, which means that you would have been smarter to trust the computer, which got 4 out of 6, talking about the odds on Gold Derby, than any one of us. Now, how did you three fare?
3 out of 6.
Okay. Well done. Yeah.
I
Almost
haven't
as
looked
good.
at mine yet, so I don't know.
Okay.
Because
Alright.
I literally just finished the review. I'm almost positive I had Malik and Close and Mahershala and Black Panther. So
Oh, wow.
I think I got 4.
Okay.
And I can't remember if I predicted Black Panther Mission Impossible for stunts, so I'm not sure about that. But I know I got the 4 individual acting categories, including Emily Blunt.
Yes, you
Very
did.
proud.
Oh, yeah.
I was very proud of that.
Oh.
That was amazing.
I
Charlie.
was shouting at my television, "You get up on that stage, Emily. You deserve it," especially because I was right.
That
No,
was
Charlie.
such.
You deserve it. So why don't you keep talking? Tell us how you came to that prediction.
Oh God,
What it
the
means
chat
for
room's gonna
performance.
hate you for telling me to keep talking. Yeah, I felt at the time it felt like something that was right, and as you know, without Regina King in there, it felt so wide open that I felt okay taking that risk. So I was just fine saying, you know what, I think that's a go big or go home type of thing. And it was a bit of a lark, but I could see the logic to it, and that one came through.
Yeah,
I was
Tony- oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, I was so happy for that win, partly because Quiet Place underperformed with Oscar nominations. Also, Emily Blunt was snubbed in the lead actress and the supporting actress race at the Oscars. So it was a really nice to see her win for that film that her husband directed and rewrote and produced. And I was just, that was like probably a highlight for me tonight, was seeing her win that.
Yeah, when she won, I was feeling pretty good about my Rami Malek and Lady Gaga predictions because I thought, okay, they're just going for blockbusters this year. The films that everybody has seen. Because A Quiet Place is another one of those ones that has made about 200 million domestic. But that obviously did not pan out. Tony, you actually got 5 out of 6 correct in film.
Oh, I did.
You'll be very high in our rankings. The only one that you missed was, of course, Emily Blunt, which Charlie got.
Oh wow, I picked Black Panther for a stunt. I forgot. No, I still, to a certain extent, I feel like the win for Black Panther, you had these juggernauts. You had these juggernauts in that category with Bohemian Rhapsody, and you had and Stars Born and Black Panther. So when you've got those all together, you've got a combination of, okay, so which one is really the most popular? Black Panther. Which one had the biggest impact on the industry? Black Panther. Which one is the biggest, game changer in terms of not just a superhero movie, but a superhero with a predominantly black cast? Black Panther. And I feel like you put that up against Black Klansman when you have, the populist aspect of SAG. It just seemed to me to be the logical choice. But I'm very happy. Don't get me wrong.
And what does it say about the Best Picture race? Does it say anything?
Well, and I'm gonna say this as diplomatically as I can. If there's one stat that I'm sick and tired of hearing about, I'm sick and tired of hearing about SAG Ensemble and the connection to Best Picture. Lest we forget, there have been 66 Oscars before there was ever a SAG category.
They don't count.
Apparently those ones don't matter at all.
They don't count.
And so let's not pretend that they always have to, just because they have lined up in many, many, many years, they've also not lined up. So I don't see necessarily, when you watch a film like Roma is not what anybody thinks of as an ensemble film. So it doesn't shock me that a film in a foreign language consisting of mostly, unknown people at its center would not get a SAG nomination. So I don't know how much that has to figure into it. I do think that the fact that Black Panther was the one that won ensemble in many ways kind of clears the field and makes Roma much more of a possible Best Picture winner. I think the impact of the SAG Ensemble win here is that it doesn't point us in a new direction. It still points the direction. So we read the tea leaves that we always read, and that is, Roma has tied for the most nominations, has the director's nod, got the acting nomination that we didn't predict that it would get, and I think that just kind of keeps it in that number one position.
But Tony, what about Spike Lee?
What about him? He's going to suddenly win DGA. That's another thing that I don't understand. If he had won anything up until this point, then at least one thing. But Cuarón has practically swept the table with this, and there's not a convincing narrative. They can't use the narrative that Spike Lee, has never, won an Oscar. He already has an Oscar. Granted, it's an honorary Oscar, but he still has one, and he's probably going to win adapted screenplay. So, what is the narrative where Spike Lee wins an Oscar other than people want Spike Lee to win an Oscar for directing? That's not enough when you have all of this other stuff, the tea leaves that we usually read. And I'm not saying Spike Lee can't win. I'm saying this insistence that, that DGA is suddenly some sort of toss-up is ridiculous. That if it was anybody other than Spike Lee, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Well, I think it helps our site to have, at least the idea that things are competitive. But it also, I think the thing is that I think you would agree, though, that if there's anyone, if for whatever reason Cuarón didn't win DGA, it would most likely be Spike Lee. The one thing that I can see, and I'm mostly with you, Tony, because I have had Cuarón as my leader for the directing Oscar and DGA for a while now. I think I've had it since the Prediction Center opened. The thing with DGA is that that's going to include a lot of people outside film directing. So, television directors, commercial directors, there's a chance that they could be more preferable to Spike. There's a chance. I still think overall it's probably going to be Roma, and I think Cuarón won't have any trouble winning them over. But there's that possibility because of the altered organization of the makeup of the organization.
Have we seen that play out, though?
Have we seen what play out?
Where the DGA is more prone to certain kinds of directors and the Oscars are more prone to others?
I definitely think with Ron Howard, when he was nominated for Apollo 13 and won for Apollo 13 when he didn't even crack an Oscar nomination. Spielberg for The Color Purple. I know I'm citing specific instances of people of certain circumstances, but I do think there are those instances.
Yeah, great. Matt, you predicted Christian Bale to win tonight. How are you feeling about him for BAFTA and the Oscar?
I'm feeling like this tonight has turned that race into a complete toss-up. I think that Christian Bale is well positioned for the Oscars, but I think Rami Malek is also now very well positioned for the Oscars, and we've got a real barn burner race on our hands. And we've seen times where the Oscars have gone for the younger sort of ingenue type actor, and we've seen times when they've gone with the veteran. Just if I was to judge the performances, I think Bale fits more your Oscar-y performance, just in the way like it's a full body transformative role. So I give Bale the edge, but boy, I'm a lot less confident in Bale for the upcoming awards than I was coming into tonight.
And that screenwriter who wrote Bohemian Rhapsody, who previously did Darkest Hour and The Theory of Everything, his next movie is called The Pope, stars Jonathan Pryce as Pope Francis. It'll be out on Netflix, presumably at the end of this year. So we'll watch out for that one.
Yeah.
And Charlie, how are you feeling about the Best Actor race?
I actually think this actually puts Rami Malek out front. I think BAFTA is still a toss-up, specifically because Christian Bale has never won there. But I think that one's a real toss-up. But the Oscar, I still give the edge to Malek. I couldn't help thinking to myself, I did not like the clip they chose for Malek because it's just him lip syncing. I mean, why not show him actually giving a performance or something? I was
maybe there's an agenda there.
Yeah, they're trying to. The producers are trying to screw him. I think he's definitely got the inside track for this now. But it just feels like it'll probably be him.
Tony, you made a comment about the clip package for Alan Alda. Can you expand on that?
Oh, I mean, Alan Alda is a national treasure. We all know this, and it's funny because Tom Hanks in many ways is kind of like the Alan Alda of this generation. There's such striking similarities between the two, not just in terms of their personality and what was funny to me was I was watching the clip package for Alan Alda, and I was like, wow, he made some really racy films and some racy stuff. There were some jokes in there that I was like, oh, okay. There's there's an orgasm joke and there's a squat thrust joke. I was like, it just seemed a little odd that, Alan Alda really does have this image of like the everyman, wholesome, actor. And yet I thought the clips package was a little racy, which on one hand kind of delighted me because it was somewhat subversive. And any chance that an award show can kind of go blue, I'm really happy about. But I just thought it was interesting. It was very, very weird to me that those were some of the clips that they chose.
Also kind of a pioneer of feminism too.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
It's I loved Alan Alda's speech. I love whenever he smiles, I feel like just the whole room lights up. And I just love any recognition for him. It breaks my heart. Of course, he came out publicly about his Parkinson's diagnosis, and whenever I found myself looking at him, and every time I saw his hand tremble a bit, I found my heart breaking a little bit. But still loving that he's out there. I believe he's still working. Yeah, and again, like you said, Tony, he's a national treasure, and if we can develop the Futurama technology to keep heads in jars, to keep heads alive in jars, he should be near the top of that list.
I think we also have to have, if Tom Hanks is going to play, beloved icon Mr. Rogers, I think when there's an Alan Alda biopic, there needs to be Tom Hanks as Alan Alda. I'm just saying.
Possibly. I can't think of anyone else to play, but okay.
We all had Amy Adams predicted on the TV side. All of us, except for Charlie, had her on the film side as well. But do we just need to give it up? Is she not going to win an Oscar or an Emmy anytime soon?
The fact that that even here she couldn't win on the television side really does break my heart, because we use the word transformative performance, I think more loosely than we should sometimes. But that's a
transformative perspective, Tony.
Thank you very much. But I mean, what she does in Sharp Objects is unlike anything she's ever done before. And the fact that it's not getting the kind of traction, I mean, the Emmys are still, 9 months away, 8 months away. So, the time that's lapsed, we don't know what's coming, and we don't know if they're really going to go that far back. So it does seem kind of a shame that she can't get a win out of this. Solo win, at least.
The good thing when we're thinking Emmys is that I actually think I think Arquette's got momentum at the moment. And I think the 9 months, 8 months might do Amy Adams some favors in terms of it just seems like at the moment she's not catching a break. And I do wonder, I think Emmy Adams is likely to get nominated for the Emmys. And then once she's in the race, I think people look at it with fresh eyes. So I don't know. I have hope for her still. That's for the Emmys. For the Oscars, I think it's going to be tough for her now, though. I think that is going to be a little bit difficult for her. Yeah, but I think the Emmys, the good thing is there is a bit of time. I think her not having won a whole bunch now means people won't be sick of her winning by, when the Emmys come around. I think in some ways the Emmys can sort of own Sharp Objects and Amy Adams is their thing. So I think that I think the Oscars it's not looking great. The one glimmer of hope she has is that Vice did better with Oscar nominations than it has in some other award groups and things like that. So there might be a bit more Vice love in the Academy, but I wouldn't be backing her at the moment.
Who are you backing then?
Regina King.
But
yeah,
Beale Street Could Talk only got 3 Oscar nominations and not Best Picture. So does that concern you?
I don't know. It did better than The Wife with Oscar nominations. I think in some ways, I wouldn't say that the lack of nominations helps Regina King, but I do think the fact that it's really her performance that is the big showcase of that film, and maybe people are voting for her rather than the movie. I don't know. I don't think she's a lock. I think I know there's been comparisons raised earlier to her and Sylvester Stallone, and I guess the trajectory looks similar. I think the one thing is I'm not sure Sylvester Stallone was necessarily respected as an actor, like the snobby, prestigious actors in the Academy, whereas I feel like Regina King is. She's in danger, but especially with Amy Adams looking a bit weaker now, there might not be that clear alternate. Be interested to see what BAFTAs are up, but I'd still say safe money's on Regina.
To piggyback off of what Matt just said there, in addition to what he was saying about Sylvester Stallone, the Sylvester Stallone similarities, I would also say that Regina King has won most of the critics' prizes, and at least that helps her, build that image of, of this very respected performance. I don't know if you remember who won most of the critics' prizes the Sylvester Stallone year for supporting actor. It was Mark Rylance.
And on top of that, when you have, Regina King, Regina King was also another person at the Globes who really, gave just a barn burner of a speech. And she's somebody who, again, I say it, I should have a T-shirt made of this by now, but every time we think Regina King can't win, then she does. And I feel like the best thing that could have happened was the fact that Emily Blunt won in supporting actress, because to me that just cleared a path. That really gave Regina King kind of an avenue that I don't think she would have had if Amy Adams or say Rachel Weisz would have won.
We'll have Mahershala Ali for BAFTA.
I think so.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, well, how are you feeling right now, though?
I think I have Richard E. Grant right now for BAFTA.
Okay, and why is that?
A British factor, and and sometimes BAFTAs do mirror the critics groups, and Richard E. Grant won most of the film critics groups. I think did he win the London Film Critics Group?
I think he did. I think he did. I think he did.
I think he did.
He won most.
And so I definitely think that could give him a leg up there. But I would be very, very concerned, and especially now that Mahershala Ali has now claimed SAG, so he's just completely bulldozed this whole season. And it would give them a chance to make up for not recognizing him for Moonlight 2 years ago.
Yeah, we could also see him win the Emmy in a few months for True Detective, because Darren Criss has bulldozed the season on the TV movie mini side, leaving Hugh Grant with nothing. All right. How do you guys feel about This Is Us continuing to win Best Drama Series over on the TV side?
Expected.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. You know, it's funny. It's a huge ensemble. It's a network show, and it still has its passionate fan base. That again, when you open it up to the broader voting body, you know, it's certainly more. It falls in that populist vein that oftentimes, you know, they like to go with. And again, SAG loves to repeat itself. So I feel like this was, you know, pretty expected. We'll see what happens if they do it a third time. You know, third time doesn't always happen. So.
All right, and Tony, what does it mean that Tony Shalhoub was able to beat a couple of Emmy winners, Golden Globe winner, and Alan Arkin?
That was amazing to me. It shouldn't have been, because, you know, maybe vote splitting was the actual thing. I said this once about the Emmys, because, you know, we always wonder whether vote splitting is an actual thing or not. And I think one of the things with vote splitting is that it's not a thing when there's one overwhelming choice between the two. And you can make an argument that certainly Michael Douglas and Alan Arkin, Douglas is certainly going to carry the majority of the votes between those two. With Barry, you could make an easy argument that there would be vote splitting between Bill Hader, who is, you know, the creator and the writer and the director and the actor, and has a lot of goodwill from SNL, and Henry Winkler from his position in the industry, that there could have been vote splitting there, which just paves the path for Tony Shalhoub, who, you know, still gives really funny acceptance speeches. He knows how to just drop in that whole line about, you know, thanking the legal team at Amazon, and not just because he's in contract renegotiation. I thought that was inspired.
He's in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. He won a Tony last year as well. Like, he's a very respected actor.
He won Best Actor in a Musical for a show which he does not sing in.
Yeah. Yeah.
He sings for about, you know, 45 seconds in the whole show.
Yeah, but he is
yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
He was an actor in a musical.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah.
And he was the lead.
Yeah, it was not category fraud. Yeah. Yeah. Respected actor in their favorite show.
All right, so Travis up, what were your highlights from the night in terms of favorite speeches or how the show itself was presented? Let's go to Charlie.
Let's see. I like the clips. It's weird if you had watching the Best Actor in a TV comedy. Just from those two clips, I would assume that the entire show of the Kaminsky Method is just Alan Arkin and Michael Douglas in a car together. Which actually, you
wouldn't be that far off. I've watched the whole series. There are a lot of scenes of them in a car.
And honestly, I would pay to watch. Excuse me. I would pay to watch that. Actually,
well, it's on Netflix, so you do.
I steal from someone else's account. Yeah, thanks, Mom. And I loved Olivia Colman's clip. They played the best clip to play for that. It's so perfect. I'm trying to think. I loved. I'm just trying to think. I liked Jason Bateman's speech. I thought he was very heartfelt. I'm trying to think who won drama actress again. It was
Sandra Oh.
Sandra Oh.
Sandra. Oh, she was fabulous with her speech. And I was also I liked Chadwick Boseman's speech for Black Panther. I thought that was a very beautiful and poetic speech. I really liked that because that was a real moment, and also just the image of Angela Bassett holding that award. Oh god, that made me happy.
I think Chadwick Boseman might have said more than Megan Mullally did throughout the telecast.
I think that's true.
All right, and Matt, what were your highlights?
Emily Blunt winning, that was super exciting. What else? I didn't think there were any too appalling wins or anything I was upset about too much. I think Black Panther winning was a really nice way to end the evening, and as Charles said, that was a really good final speech. I love the little moment with Andy Serkis on stage where he's like, "Oh, he belongs to this too. Like, you're part of it, Andy."
That was great.
Really young, gifted, and black Andy Serkis.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was good. And just like to quickly weigh in on the whole best picture of it all, I'm really leaving tonight thinking Roma is the best place to win best picture. I think any other film, there are significant arguments against it. But the thing that we don't have a lot of is sample size. We don't have a big sample size of years with this new voting method for Best Picture. And I think this is such an all over the place year. There are a number of films, and I think BlacKkKlansman is still in the race, and others are still in the race, because who knows how that preferential ballot's going to pan out and which film is going to get to that 51% of votes first. Because I don't think Roma's going to get it on the first count or two. I think it'll take a few extra counts. So I'm going to be really racking my brain over the next week or two, thinking which films are going to do well in that preferential voting.
All right, and Tony, what are your final thoughts?
I really liked, I feel like the SAGs made a mistake by having a host, not because of Megan Mullally's abilities. I thought she had, for somebody who's not like a comedian or an award show host, she's not like a stand-up. I thought the whole thing about the women, the roles that women get in Hollywood, and the thing with John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, I thought that was fantastic. I loved the little bit with her and Smitty from Will and Grace, just because I love that dynamic between those two. And having talked to Megan Mullally, I know that she loves that dynamic. I bet that was her idea. But what I always love about the SAGs is that the SAGs is the only award show that really is about the award and not the spectacle. So it's a tight 2-hour show, and they don't waste a lot of time with things that would inflate it to a 3-4 hour show. And the SAGs is something I look forward to every year, and I thought it was a decent show.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks very much, Tony Ruiz, Charlotte Bright, Matt Noble, and also to Amanda Spears and Kevin Jacobsen earlier, and also to Chris Beecham for organizing us.
Yes.
See you later in this award season.